In 1893, Sears Roebuck put a catalog in every American home and sold everything from houses to tombstones. In 1993, they had the infrastructure, the customers, and the data to become the world's first internet superstore. In 2023, they were dead. This is the story of how the company that invented mail-order everything, the company that literally could have been Amazon, refused a change and paid the ultimate price. The year was 1886. Richard Warren Sears, a 23-year-old railroad station agent in Minnesota, found himself in possession of a shipment of unwanted watches. Rather than returning them, he sold them to other station agents at a profit and discovered something extraordinary. Americans in rural areas were desperate to buy things they could not find in local stores. 2 years later, Sears partnered with Alva C. Roebuck, a watch repairman, and together they created a mail-order empire that would reshape American commerce forever. The Sears catalog was not merely a shopping list. It was a revolution. At a time when most Americans lived on farms and small towns, Sears brought the department store to their doorstep. By 1893, the Sears Roebuck catalog was known as a consumer's Bible, and by 1900, the company was selling everything: clothing, tools, furniture, farm equipment, musical instruments, sewing machines, and even entire house kits, complete with pre-cut lumber and assembly instructions. Sears sold homes. Sears sold cars. Sears sold tombstones. If a rural American family needed it, Sears had it, and they would ship it by rail to the nearest station. The company was so dominant that by the 1920s, Sears was processing millions of orders annually, operating its own manufacturing facilities, and building a logistics network that covered the entire continental United States. They had warehouses, distribution centers, and a customer database that knew what America wanted before America knew it itself. Then came the pivot that should have secured their future forever. In 1925, Sears began opening physical retail stores, transitioning from pure catalog sales to a hybrid model that combined the convenience of mail order with the immediacy of in-store shopping. By the 1950s, Sears was the largest retailer in the world, with over 350 department stores and a brand name that symbolized trust, quality, and middle-class aspiration. The Sears Tower in Chicago, completed in 1973, stood as the tallest building in the world, a monument to American retail dominance. Sears was not just a store. It was an institution. They owned Allstate Insurance, Dean Witter Brokerage, Coldwell Banker Real Estate, and the Discover credit card. They had diversified so successfully that the retail business was almost an afterthought in a sprawling empire of financial services. But within this success lay the seeds of destruction. Sears had become so large, so bureaucratic, and so convinced of its own invincibility that it stopped listening to the very customers who had built it. The critical moment came in the early 1990s, a window of opportunity so obvious in hindsight that it remains one of the most tragic missed chances in business history. In 1993, Sears shut down its legendary catalog operation. The reasoning seemed logical at the time. The catalog was expensive to produce, sales were declining, and the company wanted to focus on its profitable retail stores. But what Sears failed to understand was that the catalog was not just a sales channel. It was a database. Sears had been collecting customer data for over a century. They knew what families bought, when they bought it, how often they replaced it, and what they were likely to need next. They had the infrastructure to ship anything anywhere in America. They had the brand recognition. They had the trust. And in 1993, the internet was just beginning to reach mainstream consciousness. Sears had everything Amazon would later build from scratch, except the vision to see it. While Sears was closing its catalog, a young Jeff Bezos was leaving Wall Street to start an online bookstore in a Seattle garage. Sears could have been that bookstore. Sears could have been that everything store. They had the customers, the logistics, the data, and the capital. Instead, they chose to double down on brick-and-mortar retail in an age when the world was about to go digital. The decline was not immediate, but it was inevitable. Sears continued to operate its stores with the same playbook that had worked in the 1950s, even as consumer behavior shifted dramatically. They failed to invest in e-commerce when competitors like Walmart and Target were building online platforms. Their stores became dated, their merchandise uninspiring, and their customer service legendary for all the wrong reasons. In 2005, Sears merged with Kmart, another struggling retail giant. In a deal engineered by hedge fund manager Eddie Lampert, who believed he could turn both companies around through cost-cutting and financial engineering. Instead, Lampert stripped the companies of assets, sold off valuable real estate, and starved the stores of investment while enriching himself and his shareholders. Sears stores became ghost towns. Empty shelves, broken fixtures, and demoralized staff in cavernous spaces that once bustled with American families. The company that sold everything to everyone was now selling nothing to no one. By 2018, Sears had filed for bankruptcy. By 2023, the last full-line Sears store had closed. The company that had once been the largest retailer in the world, that had sold houses and cars and tombstones through a catalog, that had the data and infrastructure to become Amazon before Amazon existed, was dead. The Sears Tower had been renamed. The catalog was a museum piece. And the brand that had once defined American retail was reduced to a handful of licensed franchises selling appliances in obscure locations. The tragedy of Sears is not merely that a company failed. It is that a company with every advantage, history, infrastructure, customer trust, data, and capital chose to protect what it had rather than build what it could become. Sears did not lack resources. It lacked imagination. It did not lack customers. It lacked the courage to follow them into a new world. The Sears story is a warning to every dominant company in every industry. The greatest threat to your survival is not competition. It is a refusal to change. Amazon did not kill Sears. Sears killed Sears by looking at the future and deciding it was not worth the risk. And in that decision, a 130-year American institution signed its own death warrant. Slowly, painfully, and completely unnecessarily.